So tell me, how did you do it?
Wasn't easy. That's what you're asking.
No, it never is it?
Certainly wasn't easy for number 8.
That is a shame. I always liked Loverboy's style.
I really liked Before Dawn. It felt like a Mission Impossible, John Wick, style, James Bond style, and I really liked it. I really liked specifically like the writing, the dialogue, the twists and turns. I was always guessing where it was going, where it was going. You kept me on my toes. And then for it to flip around on that one lady, really well done, yo. A lot of story packed into one location, a couple locations. I thought it was well done. Great job.
This was a really interesting piece. I thought it was great direction. There were some good performances and writing. I liked the two distinct visual styles between the two different settings, kept things dynamic and let us clearly understand. And those two distinct aesthetic styles were both really just visually pleasing. I thought they worked really well, had a great cinematic quality to it, and overall just enjoyed it.
Before Dawn, I really enjoyed this. I think that having like definitely morally gray like protagonist is really interesting. I think it's an intriguing way to kind of lead your story, because then you end up rooting for somebody that in this case like is a hitman, and um, I think that that's just a it's really fun and interesting. um, but I really liked the way that they told this story. I liked that the way that they kind of framed it with this kind of, it's like cloak and dagger. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of mystery. I loved referring to the other hitmen by like numbers and like their ranking, and like kind of what you would assume of like their kind of, you know, like go to for jobs and things like that. Like, oh, do you need your number one hitman that's like the ultimate best, or could like a number five or six, do the job just fine? Um, I think that it's a really fun and interesting way to kind of set a story and tell a story. And I think it adds and it feeds into the mystery and the intrigue by like not exchanging a lot of names and, kind of like being almost like mysterious about even what they're saying, because they don't actually like ever outright say like, oh yes, I killed those people. They're talking in kind of an assumed knowledge, and I think again that kind of all feeds into this greater, you know mood and this greater like overall concept of intrigue and, mystery and cloak and dagger and the, this kind of almost noir with all of this happening at night, vibe that this whole film has. And I think that I loved the way that they had this kind of concept of like, oh, 50/50, and they're talking about timing of it and the betrayal, and then the double betrayal at the very end that you should have seen coming, because if you're going to betray somebody once, who says you're not going to betray somebody else? So I kind of loved that everything was kind of building all towards this, and you got all these kind of different layers. But you could also kind of feel like this rapport and this respect between the two guys, right up until the very end. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a really defined energy to it, and a really defined like look, and like I'm trying to there's a word I can't my brain can't get to, but it had a really defined kind of vibe, for lack of a better word, to the entire film.
Before Dawn has a great concept, I thought the soundtrack really creates the suspense that is needed, and the action sequences, like the fights, were executed brilliantly. I loved the back and forth between scenes, and by the end, the twist of the girl stabbing her lover, showing that she had the real control and dominance over the relationship. I thought that was a great job and a great twist for the story's overall concept and theme.
This film is called Before Dawn. This was an enjoyable action film. Great storytelling, lots of layers of strategy in this one. The performers were having a lot of fun, you could tell. They captured the essence of this genre. I liked the flashback scenes and the fight choreography was well delivered. The exciting soundtrack also worked really well for the flick. The cinematography with lots of close-ups was excellent. Good night scenes too. Great pace, wardrobe, staging, and direction. Before Dawn. Check it out.